I felt like setting her straight, explaining things simply the way Patria had explained them to me, but I guessed it wasn't a good idea to try my luck twice in the first week. So she was going to challenge the nun on her description of complications, but she didn't. When she left, Sunita asked me if I understood what on earth Sor Milagros had been talking about. I looked at her surprised. Here she'd been dressed in black like a grown-up young lady, and she didn't know the first thing. Right then, I told Sunita everything I knew about bleeding and having babies between your legs. She was pretty shocked and beholden. She offered to trade me back the secret of Trulio. What secret is that? I asked her. I thought Patria had told me all the secrets. Not yet, Sunita said, looking over her shoulder. It was a couple of weeks before Sunita got to her secret. I'd forgotten about it, or maybe I just put it out of my mind, a little scared what I might find out. We were busy with classes and making new friends. Almost every night, someone or other came visiting under our mosquito nets, or we visited them. We had two regulars, Lourdes and Elsa, and soon all four of us started doing everything together. It seemed like we were all just a little different. Sunita was Charity, and you could tell. Lourdes was fat, though as friends we called her pleasantly plump when she asked, and she asked a lot. Elsa was pretty in a I told you so sort of way, as if she hadn't expected to turn out pretty and now she had to prove it. And me, I couldn't keep my mouth shut when I had something to say. So that's another trait of hers. She couldn't keep her mouth shut when she had something to say. The night Sunita told me the secret of Trulio, I couldn't sleep. All day I hadn't felt right, but I didn't tell Sor Milagros. I was afraid she'd stick me in the sick room and I'd have to lie in bed listening to Sor Consuelo, reading novenas for the sick and dying. Also, if Papa found out, he might change his mind and keep me home where I couldn't have any adventures. I was lying on my back, looking up into the white tent of the mosquito net and wondering who else was awake. In her bed next to mine, Sunita began to cry very quietly, as if she didn't want anybody to know. I waited a little, but she didn't stop. Finally, I stepped over to her bed and lifted the netting. "What's wrong?" I whispered. She took a second to calm down before she answered. "It's Josue Luis. Your brother?" We all knew he had died just this last summer. That's how come Sunita had been wearing black that first day. Her body began to shake all over with sobs. I crawled in and stroked her hair like Mama did mine whenever I had a fever. "Tell me, Sunita, maybe it'll help." "I can't," she whispered. "We can all be killed." "It's the secret of Trulio." Remember, Trulio is the leader of the Dominican Republic at this point. Well, all I had to be told was I couldn't know something for me to have to know it. So I reminded her, "Come on, Sunita, I told you about babies." It took some coaxing, but finally she began. Coaxing means like persuading. She told me stuff I didn't even know about her. I thought she was always poor, but it turned out her family used to be rich and important. 3 of her uncles were even friends of Trulio, but they turned against him when they saw he was doing bad things. "Bad things?" I interrupted. "Trulio was doing bad things?" It was as if I had just heard Jesus had slapped a baby or Blessed Mother had not conceived him the Immaculate Conception way. "That can't be true," I said, but in my heart I felt a china crack of doubt, meaning she had some doubt about Trulio. "Wait," Sunita whispered, her thin fingers finding my mouth in the dark. "Let me finish." My uncles, they had a plan to do something to Trulio, but somebody told on them, and all 3 were shot right on the spot. Sunita took a deep breath as if she were going to blow out all her grandmother's birthday candles. But what bad things was Trulio doing that they wanted to kill him? I asked again. I couldn't leave it alone. At home, Trulio hung on the wall by the picture of our Lord Jesus with a whole flock of the cutest lambs. Sunita told me as much as she knew. I was shaking by the time she was through. According to Sunita, Trulio became president in a sneaky way, and we talked about this in class, how it was fixed or rigged. First, he was in the army, and all the people who were above him kept disappearing until he was the one right below the head of the whole armed forces. This man, who was the head general, had fallen in love with another man's wife. Trulio was this guy's friend, so he knew all about this secret. The woman's husband was a very jealous man, and Trulio made friends with him, too. One day, the general told Trulio he was going to be meeting this woman that very night under the bridge in Santiago, where people meet to do bad things. So Trulio went and told the husband, who waited under the bridge for his wife and this general, and then shot them both dead. Very soon after that, Trulio became head of the armed forces. Maybe Trulio thought that general was doing a bad thing by fooling around with somebody else's wife, I defended him. I heard Sunita sigh. Just wait, she said, before you decide. After Trulio became the head of the army, he got to talking to some people who didn't like the old president. One night, these people surrounded the palace and told the old president that he had to leave. The old president just laughed and sent for his good friend, the head of the armed forces. But General Trulio didn't come, and soon the old president was the ex-president on an airplane to Puerto Rico. Then something that surprised even the people who had surrounded the palace. Trulio announced he was the president. Didn't anyone tell him that wasn't right, I asked, knowing I would have. People, that's important too. Didn't anyone tell him that wasn't right? And Minerva says, I know I would have. And you're going to see this later come up. People who opened their big mouths didn't live very long, Sunita said, like my uncles I told you about. Then 2 more uncles, and then my father. Sunita began crying again. Then this summer, they killed my brother. My tummy ache had started up again, or maybe it was always there, but I'd forgotten about it while trying to make Sunita feel better. Stop, please, I begged her. I think I'm going to throw up. I can't, she said. Sunita's story spilled out like blood from a cut. One Sunday this last summer, her whole family was walking home from church. Her whole family meant all Sunita's widowed aunts and her mother and tons of girls' cousins, with her brother Josue Luis being the only boy left in the entire family. Everywhere they went, the girls were assigned places around him, so they were almost like bodyguards or a shield. They all walked around him. Her brother had been saying that he was going to revenge his father and uncles, and the rumor all over town was that Trulio was after him. As they were rounding the square, a vendor came up to sell them a lottery ticket. It was the dwarf they always bought from, so they trusted him. Oh, I've seen him, I said. Sometimes when we would go to San Francisco in the carriage and pass by the square, there he was, a grown man no taller than me at 12. Mama never bought from him. She claimed Jesus told us not to gamble, and playing the lottery was gambling. But every time I was alone with Papa, he bought a whole bunch of tickets and called it a good investment. Josue Luis asked for a lucky number. When the dwarf went to hand him the ticket, something silver flashed in his hand. That's all Sunita saw. Then Josue Luis was screaming horribly, and her mother and all the aunts were shouting for a doctor. Sunita looked over at her brother, and the front of his white shirt was covered with blood. I started crying, but I pinched my arms to stop. I had to be brave for Sunita. We buried him next to my father. My mother hasn't been the same since. Sor Ascion, who knows my family, offered to let me come to El Colegio for free. The aching in my belly was like wash being wrung so tightly. There wasn't a drop of water left in the clothes. I'll pray for your brother, I promised her. But Sunita, one thing. How is this Trulio's secret? You still don't get it, Minerva. Don't you see? Trulio is having everyone killed. I lay awake most of that night thinking about Sunita's brother and her uncles and her father and this secret of Trulio that nobody but Sunita seemed to know about. I heard the clock down in the parlor striking every hour. It was already getting light in the room by the time I fell asleep. In the morning, I was shaken awake by Sunita. Hurry, she was saying. You're going to be late for matins. All around the room, sleepy girls were clapping away in their slippers toward the crowded basins in the washroom. Sunita grabbed her towel and soap dish from her night table and joined the exodus. As I came fully awake, I felt the damp sheet under me. Oh no, I thought, I've wet my bed. After I've told Sor Milagros that I wouldn't need an extra canvas sheet on my mattress. I lifted the covers, and for a moment I couldn't make sense of the dark stains on the bottom sheet. Then I brought up my hand from checking myself. Sure enough, my complications had started.